paperback and e-readers this March. John Haynes, the man with nothing to lose. The man who rules the world runs into the irresistible force of a man with nothing to lose in this action-packed, all-new John Haynes series adventure. Get the regular and variant cover editions of John Haynes, the man with nothing to lose this March. Oprah Winfrey has decided to step away from the documentary that she was going to produce, making allegations against Russell Simmons of sexual harassment and sexual assault. And as executive producer, she has also decided to pull the documentary from Apple Plus for distribution. Now, this documentary that Oprah Winfrey was supposed to be producing regarding allegations of sexual harassment and sexual misconduct against Russell Simmons has received blowback ever since it was announced, because many in the black community now see through your Oprah Winfrey after she willfully and intentionally tried to malign the image and reputation of the late Michael Jackson by standing with his enemies during the premiere of the so-called documentary Leaving Neverland, which was soon revealed to be filled with lies and inaccuracies. And the main reason I believe Oprah Winfrey is stepping away from this documentary designed to try to malign the reputation of Russell Simmons is because your Oprah Winfrey is receiving heavy pushback from many in the black community who now see through these so-called documentaries, which are just disguised hit pieces designed to malign the reputation of whatever black man is getting these allegations alleged against them, and also designed to malign the image of black men by proxy by making these allegations against these individuals. Now, when it comes down to many of these documentaries, they aren't really documentaries. In fact, a real documentary, when it is presenting its thesis, oftentimes presents information that gives you a counterpoint so that you can draw your own observations or conclusions about the individual that the documentary is being made about, or the arguments that are being made in the documentary against a case. So they often give you both sides so that you can come up with your objective analysis regarding a subject. But these so-called documentaries like your Surviving R. Kelly, Leaving Neverland, and this recent so-called documentary against Russell Simmons, these are oftentimes one-sided hit pieces designed only to present you an emotional point where women are going into histrionics talking about how they were victimized by an individual like a Russell Simmons, trying to make an alleged case saying that this man participated in this assault, and also making the point that this man was allegedly so influential that these women allegedly feared for their lives. However, when one takes an objective analysis of these allegations and looks past the emotional testimony presented in these documentaries and looks at the facts, they will see that the argument that these women felt that they could not go to anybody in law enforcement because of these men's so-called prominence is a complete fabrication, because during the Mike Tyson alleged sexual violence, the Desiree Washington had no problem going after the #1 boxer in the world and going to a prosecutor to get her case presented as related to her rape. And she had no problem making charges against Mike Tyson, getting Mike Tyson arrested, prosecuted, tried, and convicted. And it could be argued that your Don King at the time could have feared for her life as related to Don King and people in the boxing industry. And these hip-hop moguls do not have as much influence as someone like a Don King or even a top politician, because they're just entertainers. So when I look at these allegations again, these women could have easily made their case to a police officer, or they could have made their case to a prosecutor, but they didn't want to make that case because oftentimes when they're making these allegations, it's soon found in an investigation that many times these women's hands were just as dirty as the men they made allegations against. And again, when it comes down to these so-called documentaries, they are not designed for you to come up with an objective analysis by bringing in people from law enforcement so they can bring in forensics and DNA, because these women did not want to go to law enforcement because their case would be torn apart by a seasoned police detective who could easily take apart all of the evidence that they were presenting as related to their allegations. So they want to go to make these documentaries to make themselves to be a victim so that they can try their cases not in a court of law, but in the court of public opinion, and get people emotional about the opinions they are presenting without presenting subjective facts as related to their case. So what your Oprah Winfrey wants to do to black men is try their cases in the court of public opinion without giving these men due process under the law, where they can get a thorough investigation of these types of charges with a investigation of the evidence and a presentation of the evidence in a court of law where these men's rights can be protected under our 4th and 6th Amendments, which guarantee people a right to a speedy trial and due process under the law. So what they want to do is use documentaries like this to try black men in court of public opinion, and then make it where they can get a conviction of that black man in the court of public opinion, turn people against a black man in the court of opinion, and then also go after the group of black men by proxy. And people now see through this approach that Oprah Winfrey has used to try to go after black men, and that's why you've gotten this major pushback against this so-called documentary against Russell Simmons, because people now see that this isn't a documentary. They see it for the propaganda that it is, and they see it for the hit piece that it is, and they see that these hit pieces are only targeting black men, and they are only designed to demonize the image of black men in the minds of the public. So what these media pieces, these propaganda pieces are, they're designed to persuade people that black men are sexual deviants and black brutes, and they're only made to go after black men. Because the critical question people have to ask about your Oprah Winfrey is, she is wants to produce a documentary to go after Russell Simmons. However, her friend Harvey Weinstein is known to be an alleged serial sexual harasser and is alleged to have perpetrated in numerous acts of sexual violence. However, your Oprah Winfrey won't sit there and be an executive producer of a documentary against Harvey Weinstein, and she won't make any statements to speak about your Harvey Weinstein, even though she is oftentimes, when it comes down to allegations of sexual harassment and sexual abuse perpetrated by allegedly black men, she will go out of her way to go out here and attack those black men and make documentaries and media pieces to go after their image and reputation. But Harvey Weinstein's reputation is never challenged or presented in any way, shape, or form, clearly showing us that there is subjective bias from your Oprah Winfrey as related to these documentaries, and people are becoming more aware of that subjective bias by the pushback that was received from this documentary on Russell Simmons. And that's really a positive thing, because when more and more black people come out to speak against people like your Oprah Winfrey, who try to demonize black men and try to use things like propaganda pieces, like these so-called documentaries, to go after black men, what they do is this type of attack needs to get the pushback, because this type of attack is designed, again, to not only go after the prominent black man who is getting these allegations against, but it is also designed to demonize the image of black men, to make it look like we are black brutes, and to promote and perpetrate the idea that all black men are black brutes, and that whenever they get around a woman, all they think about is sex, and if they can't get sex, they want sexual violence. And this is a racist stereotype that needs to be pushed back from, because this type of insidious type of social engineering in media is designed to instill an idea in the minds of people about black men. And that's what these documentaries are all about. And that's why your Oprah Winfrey is stepping away, because black people are pushing back against this narrative. And I'm happy to see black people pushing back against this narrative. That's why this documentary was pulled from, Oprah Winfrey stepped away from it, and it was pulled off Apple Plus, because people are seeing through all of this BS that is designed to destroy the image of black men, and are letting them know that we aren't buying into the ideas from these legacy black media people like Oprah Winfrey, and we need more voices in new black media to let people know what type of tricks and tactics people like Oprah Winfrey are trying to pull to try to destroy the image of black men, because these people like Oprah Winfrey have serious issues with black men, and because they have issues with black men, they want to ally with white supremacy towards destroying the image and reputation of black men, and whether it be the prominent black man or the entire race by proxy. If you'd like to see me make more videos like this, you can donate to my Patreon, my PayPal, or my Cash App by clicking the links in the description box. And if you want to try some of my SJS Direct publications, which feature positive images of black people and the black experience, you may do so by clicking the link to Amazon.com, where you can pick up my books in paperback and Kindle format. That's all I have to say for this video. You can comment, rate, and subscribe.